Amazing voice. Yeah. Pure. The Course in Miracles says, love is my only function. That is why I am here. Love is your only function. That is why you are here. Love is our only function. That is why we are here. Jesus said it differently. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your strength, with all your mind, and with all your might, and love your neighbor as yourself. The truth is that we are love. We are the divine embodiment and essence of love. We are one. That is what Jesus is saying when he's saying, love your neighbor as yourself. Why? Because your neighbor is you. We are all one. And yet when we are hurt or wounded, we end up shutting down, and sometimes we may even lash out. And instead of being loving, our love can be blocked, and it leads into the belief that we are separate. We go from being love your neighbor as yourself, loving all one, to, yeah, we're separate. And when we are blocked, it's easier to make that person that we are shutting out the other, or maybe that country to be the other, so that we don't have to connect. So the truth is that love is who we are at our essence. And it's also a feeling, it's an emotion, but it's more than that as well. Scott Peck said that love is the extension of oneself for another's spiritual growth. So that means anytime I extend myself for my friends, my family, whoever, and extend for your spiritual growth, I am loving. When you are extending yourself for another's spiritual growth, when you are loving and caring, you are expressing that love. So love is a noun and a verb. And, you know, sometimes we have to stop and evaluate some of our relationships and some of our friendships, don't we? Because sometimes you may find that you are on the side of always giving, maybe. And you're always extending yourself, and maybe it's not coming back. And there are moments when we reevaluate and go, okay, so where's that? And obviously there are times when we're sick or when we're in need that we need to be on that receiving end. But there's this dance that happens with the extension of love for oneself and for others. Love shows up in the form of compassion and loving kindness. I had that experience of being in compassion. Well, a month ago, my dog had my little dog Geo had a boil on her throat. So I took her to the vet, and I have this wonderful vet. He's an East Indian man named Dr. Sodhi in Lindvig, and he's just this amazing man. So I brought the dog in. We brought the dog in, and Dr. Sodhi took one look at it, and then he looked at us, and he had tears in his eyes. And I thought, uh-oh, you know, what? And he said, I hate to tell you this, but it's not a boil, it's cancer. She has a growth. And of course I thought he was going to tell me that she had like 2 days to live because of the way he was responding. But the truth is, what he was doing was feeling compassion. He was feeling compassion for my dog, and he was feeling compassion for my state. And the good news is that she had surgery last Tuesday, and they popped it right out, and she's probably going to be just fine. So we're very happy about that. Yay, yay, Geo. And you know, it's easy to be kind and loving and compassionate to our four-leggeds, isn't it? And to our furred friends, too. Sometimes it's easier to show our compassionate, soft side to our animals than it is sometimes to our human. I know that Geo acted as if we had punished her in some way. It's like, why did you send me away to get cut up? And, you know, we were very loving. So the truth is that when we're present to our loved ones, then love shows up. Love shows up. And we saw love show up in a big way this last week in Oklahoma, where an F5 tornado, which was at least a mile wide and 200 miles an hour, came through Moore, Oklahoma, and hit a school. And love showed up in the teachers. They were amazing. I was listening to some of their stories, and one teacher in particular, she got all of her kids together, and they all got under the desks, but before they got under the desks, she ran and had them all get a musical instrument. And they all went under the desks, and they were playing their musical instruments, and she was having them sing. When they asked, why did you do that? She said, because I didn't want them to hear the tornado. I didn't want them to be afraid. So we all sang under these desks. And all the teachers said, too, that as soon as it was over, when the tornado was over, they no sooner had stepped out into the wreckage when people were coming from everywhere to help pull people out of the rubble or to move things and to get it out of the way. We see love showing up big time in Oklahoma. Love is your only function. Love showed up in Boston a couple of days ago when 3,000 runners and bombing victims came together to run that last mile of the marathon, because there were so many who couldn't finish the race and or were wounded and couldn't finish the race. And so they wanted to give them that opportunity. So people were cheering, and the whole, 3,000 people came out, and the city was cheering them on. And the organizer said that for the runner that didn't get the chance to finish the marathon, this is the chance for them to experience the final mile that was taken away from them. And where there's a wound, now maybe there's a scab, and maybe the healing can begin. Again, love shows up. Tomorrow, we are celebrating or honoring Memorial Day. And Memorial Day began specifically as a way to remember those who were lost in battle, the soldiers that were lost in battle. That was the specific reason for it being created and remembered and honored. And the truth is, we've sort of lost that as time has gone by. It's become more holiday for marking the beginning of summer, hasn't it? For many people, except in Seattle, it's usually a weekend of barbecuing. We still have our rain, so we have to wait for the 4th of July for our barbecues. But, I think that holidays morph and change, and it seems to me that Memorial Day is expanding and changing to remember all who were lost in battle, but also all who were lost in wars everywhere. Not just here, but in all countries, not just soldiers, but civilians as well, so that we take Memorial Day and we expand it to include all. Friday night, Kelly and I went to the Seattle Film Festival to see a documentary by Jeremy Scahill called Dirty Wars, and it's about the drone attacks and what happens to the people and the towns and the families that are affected by this. And Jeremy Scahill was there, and he answered questions after the film, and he said that the main reason that he made the film was so that we would have the story, that we would have the face, that we would have the picture of those who were affected by these drone attacks. And he said, when Sandy Hook Elementary tragedy happened, we knew those kids, We knew how many there were. We knew how old they were. Some of us knew their names. We knew their stories. And we were hurt, and we were wounded, and we were touched by that. We sent our prayers. We held them in light. We lit candles, as we should do. And yet, somehow when there is a death of a child on the other side of the world, we can get into the mindset, or there can be a mindset of the other. That doesn't necessarily relate to me, that is the other, but the truth is, if what Jesus said is that you shall love your neighbor as yourself, there are no borders on neighbors. Our neighbors are everywhere. And so to have a picture and to have a story and to see the suffering that is happening in other places then makes it our own, and it is then that we can begin to heal. when we can stop putting a filter over the losses of others, and then really see each other's stories, then that is when true healing can take place and peace. Buddha said it this way. Buddha said, our sorrows and our wounds are healed only when we touch them with compassion. Our sorrows and our wounds are healed only when we touch them with compassion. So how do we respond when we hear or turn on our television and there's Oklahoma, and I think now there's flooding in Texas, and it's like, you know, there's more than enough stuff to keep us busy and to see what's going on. But how do we respond? And I think, you know, first of all, we may want to do something, and the Red Cross is certainly proven to have integrity and to show up and to distribute funds. So that's always a great way. But the other thing that we can do is we can practice loving kindness, the loving kindness meditation. And it's very simple, and it's in your bulletin. Loving kindness is simply, may you be free from danger. May you have mental happiness. May you have physical happiness. And may you have ease of well-being. We can turn off our televisions, and we can send that prayer, give our love, our compassion, and love showing up in that way. Another thing that we can do is the practice, it's a Buddhist practice of Tonglen. How many of you know Tonglen or practice Tonglen? And how many of you have never heard of it before and it's like, what is that? Okay. So Tonglen is a meditation. And basically what you do in the meditation is you focus on either a person, so if you have a loved one who is sick, who is suffering, or whether it's a country or a place like Oklahoma, where whatever it may be, you focus on that suffering. And then you use your breath and imagine breathing in that suffering. Now, what I want to point out is the Spirit of God dwells within you, and there is nothing that can hurt you or make you sick or afraid, for greater is the Spirit of God that indwells us than anything that is in the outer. So we take in this suffering, and some Buddhists say to imagine that it's a gray or a black smoke, and you breathe it into your heart, and while it's in your heart, you transform it and imagine that it is a bright light. And then as you exhale out the healing energy. So you're breathing in that suffering, you're transforming it, and then you're sending it back. So it's great to talk about these things, but even greater to practice them. So I would like for us to take a moment and to practice this. And so I'd like you to prepare for meditation in the way that you do. And again, as we move into this place of practicing Tonglen, we are in a sanctuary. We are in a sacred place. There is prayer, there is meditation, there is worship that has been going on in this room for over 50 years. So there is an energy field here, and when we come together in community and we come together in this healing way, there is great power here. So I invite you to breathe from your heart space, opening. Love is my only function. That is why I am here. Affirm that with me. Love is my only function. And I invite you to bring into your consciousness a person, a place, or a country that you feel needs healing, that is suffering. And when you have that person or place pinpointed, then I invite you to touch your heart so that I know that you are there, that you have picked someone or some place to be healed. And then you can lower your hand. Now, as you imagine that suffering is in front of you, I invite you to breathe in and imagine that there is black smoke that is coming into your lungs, which cannot hurt you. And as it enters your lungs and your heart, it is transformed through the love that is within you. And then you breathe out light right back to that person or that place. And then I invite you to do it again. Breathe in the suffering, the darkness. Transform it in your body as you are a conduit, and exhale light back out. Now I invite you to do it 3 times on your own. And to that person or place, we practice loving kindness. May you be free from danger together.
May you be free from danger.
May you have mental happiness.
May you have mental happiness.
May you have physical happiness. And may you have ease of well-being. And we include in our prayers, we can include in this energy field all those who have lost their lives in battle, in war. Our loved ones, our sons, our daughters, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, here and around the world. Love is my only function.
Love is my only function.
That is why I am here. And then I just invite you to take a deep breath and to bring your awareness back to this time and back to this place. So I have homework for you. And that is, the next time you turn on your television and we see the next thing, because we know there's going to be a next thing, once you feel that you've taken action, if you need to do that in the form of the Red Cross or whatever, or if it's a friend, then I invite you to stop and just practice the Tonglen, to practice the loving kindness meditation. And we have one other homework assignment, and that is in alignment with our kids down in the Sunday school. They are participating in watching and looking for acts of kindness. And when you see an act of kindness this week, I would invite you to take a little sticky note and write down what that is, and then bring it back next week and the week after, and we're going to have a bulletin board, and we're going to put them all up there so that we can see all the random acts of kindness that are happening in our city and in our lives, so that we can start to see those things. In fact, they're going to pass out, I think when you leave, you'll get some sticky notes to make it easy for you. I know that this week what I would have written on my sticky note is my vet. His kindness and his compassion toward me, toward Kelly, and toward our lovely little Geo. When you hear of trauma, of a friend, or of a nation, or of the world, practice loving kindness or Tonglen. Because the truth is, you are an expression of God. You are divine love in manifestation on this planet, and love is your only function. That is why you are here. Love is our only function, and that is why we are here. So we go forth and let love show up. Amen.